one particular cut. The primary knife is the one you'll use for most. When you buy a primary knife, inspect the blade. The profile should be smooth with no bevels. If it does have bevels toward the cutting edge, you'll have some work to do. The blade should be a perfect pinnacle with nothing to catch on the wood, so you'll have to remove the bevels on sharpening stones. I use 2 ceramic stones. One is 600 grit and the other is 1800. Tip the blade at about 10 degrees and rub it back and forth on the stones. Work both sides of the blade the same number of times. Remove the corners on the 600 grit stone and polish with the 1800 grit. Finish up with a leather strop that's charged with honing compound and check the edge for nicks with a magnifying glass. Hone the blade all the way to the tip. You will use the tip of the blade to remove small chips, and if you break it, you must start the sharpening process over. The primary knife is held 2 ways. Grip the handle with your fingers. There should be a flat facet towards the front of the handle on which to rest your thumb. This grip positions the blade at a 65-degree angle. Always keep your thumb on the handle, otherwise you may cut yourself. The second grip is like this, where the thumb rests on the back of the blade. This also ensures a consistent 65-degree angle. The stab knife has one job. Hold the handle perpendicular to the workpiece and tip it forward to create this mark. There are 3 main shapes used in chip carving: 3-corner chips, straight lines, and curvy lines. All chip carving patterns are formed from these shapes. Once you've mastered them, it just becomes a matter of designing patterns and carving them. The 3-corner chip is carved like this. Chip carving is usually done with the workpiece in your lap, so you can easily turn the board around. Of course, if the workpiece is too large, you'll need to rest the board on a table. Both primary knife grips are used with this design. Straight lines are very simple. Be sure to keep your thumb in contact with the board to steady your hand. When you finish a stop cut, tip the handle up so the blade doesn't overshoot your mark. Curved lines are like this. Because the blade is maintained at a constant 65-degree angle, the wider the shape, the deeper the cut. Don't forget the stab knife if you'd like to make your design a little more fancy. When you've practiced carving these shapes, you're ready to try something a little more challenging. To transfer patterns to boards, I rub graphite on the back of the design and trace it onto the workpiece. You can also use graphite paper, but avoid carbon paper because it's too waxy. I'm just a beginner at this, so you're going to see some choppy movements. The good news is, the more you practice, the better you get. The other good news is, iMovie lets you speed up your video so viewers don't fall asleep. Think about each chip before you carve it. When carving shapes that are beside one another, start the next cut facing away from the previously chip-carved shape so you don't inadvertently remove a piece that should remain. Here's a close-up of a curvy shape, so you can see that your hand needs to be in contact with the workpiece at all times.
Reach the edge, I sit and the boys are going to be, yeah, oh.
The benefit of working with the board in your lap is that you can turn it to accommodate the curves. When making tight curves, tip the handle up a bit so the blade can create a smaller radius. Even if your carving has some rough spots like this one, don't be too hard on yourself. Most people won't scrutinize your work as critically as you will. This video just covers some basics. I recommend getting some good books or DVDs to learn more, and pretty soon you'll find all sorts of projects that will benefit from a little decoration.
You notice when she's holding the knife, the primary knife, it's almost a 3-point like a tripod, because your thumb's touching the workpiece, your knuckle, and the tip of the blade, and that's what keeps everything steady, and that way you don't cut yourself. You don't want to pull your thumb like back there. Keep your thumb in contact with the knife so it could slip. I haven't had any problems with it doing it that way. There any questions? Ron? Yeah, certainly. So I guess you can't take it. No, I've worked on the piece for 2-3 hours at a time, and it's not too bad. It's good when I'm watching the Leafs play because I don't have to look at the TV. You can tell when it's getting dull. I have sharpened it twice in 4 or 5 hours. But I always, like Dennis says, even with and turning, you can feel it's not doing good, and just go touch it up.
How do you prevent from going too deep on your cuts? If you're doing a flower, one is deeper than the other.
It depends on the effect, because some of the cuts can be quite big. Like a large petal, you have to go deeper, and sometimes you get off that 65 degrees because of the way you're doing it. But you can do it in 2 cuts too. There's ways of doing it in 2 cuts.
The fact that you were rubbing your knuckle and your thumb stops it from going deeper.
Yeah, like you're holding it at a constant depth. Lines, straight lines, she says it's easy. I had trouble at the beginning, and Bruce Harper showed me cock your wrist a bit and go down, and my lines started coming out a lot straighter. I was trying to pull it more towards me, and I couldn't really see. So cock it a bit and bring it down, and it made it easier. I got straighter lines.
You don't use a ruler? You just
No, freehand. Yeah.
Rick, in your course, do you show how to lay out?
No, Mac and I were going to get around to do one last year. We didn't get to do it because that's going to be separate. That takes a little time too, how to lay out your designs and to be able to practice doing it. So that would be a separate little seminar. But I am doing one, a course. It'll be on a Saturday, maybe early March before Dennis starts. I have a sheet. I've got 5 names. If anybody else is interested, come see me and I'll put your name down.
When you do the course, you just work on the practice board?
Yeah, yes, because that gives you all the different cuts that you need to do. And if you don't have a knife, we have some extra ones that we can lend you. Anything else?
Mac?
Just one thing we missed. In case you do cut your finger and you get blood on the carbon, hydrogen peroxide will take away the blood.
Okay, very good, Rick.